Dear children, the next topic we are going to talk about transport of gases. Transport of gases. In our body, gases are transported. What are the gases that are transported? One is the carbon dioxide. One is carbon dioxide. The other one, it is oxygen. Carbon dioxide and oxygen. The carbon dioxide and oxygen, they are transported in our body. They are transported in our body. We are going to talk about how they are transported, from where to where they are transported. So let's talk about that. First, let us talk about how the oxygen is transported in our body. So the oxygen from the atmosphere, it enters into nose. We call that as nostril. Nostril. From the nostril, it passes pharynx, larynx, and then it moves into trachea, the windpipe. From the trachea, it moves to bronchi. From the bronchi, it moves to bronchioles. From the bronchioles, it moves to alveoli. This is the pathway. The oxygen from the atmosphere, it enters through nostril, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and alveoli. From the alveoli, the oxygen enters into the blood vessels. We call them as blood capillaries. It moves into blood capillaries. Through the blood capillaries, the oxygen enters into pulmonary vein. Through the pulmonary vein, it enters into heart. From the heart, the oxygenated blood leaves through aorta. And through aorta, it reaches the tissues. So you can see that these many structures are involved in the process of respiration. The oxygen from the atmosphere, it enters into the nostril. From the nostril to the pharynx, pharynx to the larynx, larynx to trachea, trachea to bronchi, bronchi to bronchioles, bronchioles to alveoli. So alveoli is the region where exactly the gaseous exchange takes place. So what will happen here? From the alveoli, the oxygen enters into the blood capillaries. From the blood capillaries, it enters into the pulmonary vein. Through the pulmonary vein, the oxygenated blood reaches the heart. From the heart, through the aorta, the oxygenated blood, it is supplied to the tissues. This is how the oxygen transportation takes place. This is how the oxygen transportation takes place in our body. Next, I am going to explain to you how the carbon dioxide is transported. What happened to the oxygen that is transported to the tissues? In the tissues, the glucose, it will be there. The glucose is present in the tissues. To the glucose, the oxygen is added. Glucose is there in the tissues, to that oxygen is added. and it becomes carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. So you can see that the carbon dioxide is produced here in the tissues. This carbon dioxide from the tissues, this is happening in the tissues. The carbon dioxide from the tissues, it will enter into blood capillaries. It enters into blood capillaries. The carbon dioxide, it enters into blood capillaries. From the blood capillaries, it reaches the veins. From the veins, it reaches the large veins. Through the large veins, it reaches the heart. It reaches the heart. The carbon dioxide from the tissues, it will enter into blood capillaries to veins, veins to large veins to the heart. Large veins to the heart. From the heart, the pulmonary artery. From the heart, the pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood, the blood that contains carbon dioxide, to the lungs, where through the capillaries it reaches the lungs. So here actually the pulmonary vein, the pulmonary artery, it has capillaries. Capillaries. Through the capillaries, the carbon dioxide enters into the alveoli. Alveoli. From the alveoli, the carbon dioxide enters into bronchioles. From the bronchioles, it enters into bronchi. From the bronchi to trachea, the windpipe, trachea. From the trachea, it enters into pharynx, it enters into larynx, pharynx, and then it moves to nostril. And through the nostril, the carbon dioxide moves out. This is the pathway, the complete pathway. The carbon dioxide tissues enter into blood capillaries. Through the blood capillaries, it enters the veins, vein to large veins to heart. From the heart to the pulmonary artery, the carbon dioxide blood reaches the capillaries. Through the capillaries, it reaches the alveoli, bronchioles, bronchi, trachea, larynx, pharynx, nostril, and moves out. So now you can understand that how the transportation takes place. From where to where? The oxygen is transported from atmosphere to the tissues. Carbon dioxide, it is transported from tissues to the atmosphere. This is the pathway in which the transportation of gases takes place. This is the pathway in which the oxygen is transported and the carbon dioxide, it is transported in our body.